Hey, good morning. This is Saturday Morning with George and Phil. 22 minutes to help you become the best version of yourself. Whether you found yourself out of shape, struggling in a frustrating dead end job, or in job transition, we're your hosts, George Murray and Lenny Newman, pinch hitting for Phil while he's away. We're here to help you move from where you are today to where you want to be tomorrow. We're glad you could join us this early Saturday morning. And by the way, we do encourage questions in the chat, and we'll do our best to answer them as the questions come up. So please feel free to ask questions. Hey, George.
Hey, good morning, Lenny. Hey, we want to turn around and appreciate the viewers that we have. We're LinkedIn Live, we're YouTube Live, and Facebook Live. And just 10 days ago, we're uploaded on 8 platforms for podcasts. So all the old shows we're actually starting to download and upload on the platform. So Spotify, iHeartRadio. So if you're listening to this on one of those platforms, just hit the subscribe button for future shows.
Wow, so George, you're really becoming a celebrity, aren't you? Huh?
We're just trying to get the word out, right? A message to help others, right?
No, I love it. And oh, by the way, Mr. Celebrity George, I heard through the grapevine that you were recently involved in a Tough Mudder competition. George, what were you thinking?
Yeah, well, you know what? I think you can actually teach dogs old, new tricks or whatever. So my oldest one, who's there in the middle, just above me, to the left of the screen, the big guy, started guilting me into this probably about 3 months ago. And then my younger son, who's over in the left with the glasses, jumped on board and said, "Come on, Dad. Hey, this is, you've done this, in the military." I'm like, "Well, that was an eon ago, right?" So you can take a look at it. My daughter, of course, it was a family affair, right? So my daughter was able to catch the exact moment in that left picture where I had about 20,000 volts hitting my top of my head. And you see that big vein in the neck that I've never seen before. Everything went black, right? But yeah, we all successfully completed it. And oh, by the way, I outranked them all by at least 27 years. So an old man can hang.
Well, George, it looks like you've survived. So I do want to congratulate you. I still think you're blooming nuts for doing it. And I do believe you're right. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. You just have to teach them a little slower. But it sounds like your time was pretty good. So I think that's great.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it was
well,
absolutely
anyways,
great.
before we proceed, I'd like to recognize a new sponsor, Global HR Research. They're better by every measure, as highlighted by their 3 pillars: better data, better technology, better teams. 100% US based, proprietary technology, plus a team committed to customer excellence. Welcome, Global HR Research.
Yeah, and our special guest can actually go into a little bit more detail, but I can tell you that they being Global Human Resources Research, have optimized the employment screening process to be more immediate, personalized, and trustworthy because GHRR built their company on a platform from the ground up to be more agile and adaptable to today's compliant challenges. So challenger points that they cover are data intelligence, technology, and team and service. So thank you guys.
Cool. So, George, what are we going to talk about today, buddy?
Hey, we're building up, so this is, I think, 10 of 12 episodes on my new book that's potentially coming out. We'll see based on the publishing time frame, but we're looking to come out next month with Ignite, Engage, and Retain. And so all the culminations leading up to this is really how do we help our team level up? All that baseline that we've been talking about for probably the last 3 or 4 months on every first and third Saturday of every month is a culmination. We're going to be talking today about how do you help your team as a leader, as a business owner, to level up.
So George, do we happen to know maybe any special experts who could help us in this particular area? And I think you probably have identified somebody, and I'd like to welcome Kim Reese. Kim is the Vice President of Human Resources at Global HR Research, our new sponsor, as well as previously a CHRO of several companies, but most recently a global company. So, Kim, welcome to our show this morning.
Thanks, Lenny. Appreciate it. And thank you, George. I'm really looking forward to being here today.
Hey, welcome, Kim. For those who don't know, Kim was one of those CHROs, CFOs, and CEOs that gave me a lot of input on my book that's coming out in August. But hey, Kim, can you tell us a little bit more of Global Research, what it does?
Sure. As you had previously alluded to, and thank you for sharing really what we do. But GHRR, we like to talk about ourselves as being great in the acronym. And we are a multifunctional background screening organization. We are one of the top 7 across the nation. And it is a result of a merger. So we've actually been GHRR now for a total of 18 months. And what defines us from others and the smaller family-run organizations, that of which we have acquired, and now we have become one large organization, is that we have amazing data analytics and technology, but more importantly, it's the people. We have some outstanding, brilliant people that work for us, far smarter than I, and I always like to engage with those to really learn about how we can bring solutions to the end user and create a great experience.
Cool. Well, Kim, George shared with me that you've given him some feedback and input on his book number 2, Ignite, Engage, and Retain. In this competitive landscape with war on talent, I'm just curious to get your thoughts on, how are great leaders both retaining their talent and helping their organizations level up their teams? Can you share your thoughts?
You bet. So I've been doing this for a few years now, and I guess some of the mindset and also the experience that you can't stay stagnant. You need to change the game up constantly. But really at the root cause of anything that you do, it requires intentionality. And I'd like to give just a very brief example of something that I worked through in my career. I actually went to the Disney Leadership Academy, and I don't know how many of the listeners are familiar with that, but something that I have never heard in my career, and I was really inspired by it. They operate on 2 premises. One is intentionality, and the other is over management, not to be confused with micromanagement. But intentionality, I want to give you a very brief example of what they focused on and really how I approach every day and would encourage others to do the same. So we were doing a 6 a.m. walkthrough of the Magic Kingdom, and there was the castle, and it was really surreal because no one was there except our group of 10. And our executive sponsor said to turn around, take a selfie of you in front of the castle. Okay, so we did. And I'm like, wow, this is really cool. I'm the only one here type of thing. But he said, all right, now step back and actually blow up and enhance your picture on your phone. And I thought, okay, this is kind of odd. And he said, what do you see? I said, I see the castle. And he said, no, look closer. So I blew it up more. And sure enough, regarding intentionality, they were working on the castle. They were actually painting the tips of the castle. But what they did, they painted the crane to match the color scheme so that from a photo perspective, you would never know it's there. So it really put a lot of context in place for me regarding intentionality and how do you, approach your day. And then also the over management part. And everything they do, they stand alongside and support. So titles don't matter, but they always envision a career path for anyone in the organization. So they gave the example of lifeguard going to general manager, which I thought was pretty amazing. And they literally mapped it out. So interesting.
Wow. Very interesting.
Hey, Kim, when we spoke on the book and we went through some of the titles and chapters, one of the topics that came up was, creating next generational leaders, high potentials. One of the things I love to do is really kind of understand the culture and then create a movement. Can you kind of elaborate and maybe help our viewers, leaders, business owners, maybe takeaways that they can implement this coming Monday?
Sure. The one thing that I think is very, very important is that don't delay your start. We always think about, well, next month I'll do this, or next quarter I'll do this. Start on Monday. And by starting, what I mean is really take I'm going to use the word intentional probably a lot, but take a very intentional look at your entire team, company-wide. Understand who truly are your leaders in the organization, who are your leaders that can aspire to become senior level within the next 1 to 3 years. And then right beneath that, look at your hypos. So the hypo is defined as a 3 to 5 year for next step in their career. Really map that out very, very intentionally, and make sure that you have your entire executive team on board with you. So this should never be done in a bubble, right? Some of the executives themselves will likely tell you, I don't really know where I'm going to go next. So that's your role as a leader to help with that process, and really start with the mapping. So on Monday, start with your mapping. If you've already done that, then don't wait till next quarter to get things rolling on vision maps and career maps for people. So every end user, or every person that has a widget to build, so to speak, really needs a corollary to what does my widget mean to the end product, and chart that course and create that vision for them.
Hey, Kim, let me interrupt for 1 second. There's a question out there. Deborah Chapdelaine asks, who are your customers? I'm assuming she's talking about your company. And are they specifically companies that may or may not have HR departments?
Yes. Thanks, Deborah, for the question. I'm actually, it's kind of ironic. So in a senior HR leader role, I am our perfect customer, honestly, because we go out to market and we're looking to educate HR leadership and CFOs and COOs and CEOs on the processes that we do by way of background screening. So we touch manufacturing, we touch highly regulated industries. Healthcare is a huge, huge platform for us. We have some government contracts, and we also have some leads for even casinos, because casinos are highly regulated as well. So we also do retail and smaller shops as such, but we are best suited for highly regulated industries.
Thanks for answering that question. Now back to a couple other questions that I have, Kim. I'm sure you're aware that many business leaders are struggling right now in terms of finding talent. Are there any things that you could share with us this morning about what people aren't doing in terms of leaders and that they should be doing to kind of help them retain and draw new talent in?
Yes. The one thing that I found just through kind of search and discovery and trying different things, and because I'm not a creature of habit, so I keep trying until something sticks, right? What sticks against the wall? Sure. And what I've learned is that through my discussions with our executives, they were rather very focused on the tchotchkes, right? Let's give out a t-shirt, or let's give out a gift card to Starbucks, or let's, something like that. So we really changed the game, and our methodology now is to talk to our team members face to face, kind of rid the I'll only talk to you once a year during annual performance review. Stop in for a casual chat, but learn about them. Learn about their hobbies, their families, what do they do in their off days, and actually reward and recognize with experience trips. So for example, we have a senior leader who is all about his son's baseball, like that. He lives and breathes for baseball, right? So what we did, we sponsored a baseball component within his league, which was a very intrinsic reward to the leader. It wasn't a gift card, but it mattered to him. And what we're finding is that we're really kind of turning the corner now, because people are recognizing, wow, I really matter, and my family matters, and my hobbies and interests matter. So it's got to be intrinsic versus just a tangible. Tangibles are always nice every now and then. You like the jacket or the hat, but make it personal.
Relationship building and making personal. That's what I heard. That's what I heard you emphasizing.
Yes.
Got it. George.
Hey, Kim, one of the things that I always try to do is find ways, what are some of the tools that we can help both business owners and leaders and individuals level up the organization as well as themselves. One of the tools that I love to bring to organizations is WAR, right? It's basically not what we intend WAR to be, but it's with all resources. I mean, how many times you go into an organization, it seems like they're all siloed and they're all working on their specific projects, but not really meeting, really not moving the needle. And so with all resources, we focus on one thing, 8 weeks, and there's significant turnaround, huge improvements on time delivery from a manufacturing sense, customer experience, et cetera. Is there any other tools that you kind of lean on or use or found very helpful for our viewers to turn around and take a look at?
Yeah, the one thing that we've recently implemented, and it works quite well, we call it the war room with the whiteboards. And we, as executives, we'll kick it off because this might be a new activity to some. But what we do is we invite all levels into into that room and ask for their ideas. Now, some people are like, oh, that's a good idea. Some are like, oh, that's a horrible idea. But at the end of the day, we have all levels contributing to the good of the whole and ultimately becoming drivers for the results. And there are some ideas that we get that certainly we can't do everything immediately, right? There might be a revenue gap or there might be, what have you. But we always put it in a parking lot. We make our parking lot very, very visible so that it's a very, very clear message to all levels that we haven't forgotten about you and your ideas matter. And we can't do it perhaps right now, but we're going to certainly circle back to it and see if we can do it at another time. But that is really kind of a constant ongoing activity. And then what we do, we're very intentional also about celebrating the wins. So if we use an idea from, let's say, a verification specialist that has results of enormous capacity, we're going to have the biggest party and we're going to celebrate that person. And, it's all about them that day. And it's very, very critical to celebrate the wins along the way. Don't wait for the date on the calendar to have the big, holiday party. You've got to do the little things because, quite frankly, the little things mean tenfold compared to the large events.
Sure. Hey, Kim, one of the things that I want to touch on briefly is the importance of recognition. In a recent Gallup poll, there was some information that was shared about how recognition can really drive the culture in a workplace. And I'm curious, what sort of things have you observed that are what I call authentic, genuine recognition that drive the type of culture that all of us would aspire to work in a company?
Right.
Share a couple thoughts.
Sure. Yeah, I mentioned briefly the focus on intrinsic rewards, but we also do daily drop-ins, which might just be we used to use thank you candy bars, for example.
Okay.
Candy bars and the Girl Scouts
bars.
actually have.
I like
the Girl
bars.
Scouts.
I'm a big candy bar guy.
The Girl Scouts actually have thank you cookies. They're called thank you cookies. So we've been known to buy multiple cases and just put a little handwritten note. I'm a huge, huge, huge fan of the art of the handwritten note. It hasn't lost its sizzle in all of these years. Put the personal note with something small on the desk. Again, those unexpected, intentional moments, and you've got them at hello again, right? So it's constantly reigniting the thank you in a very lighthearted way. And of course, you can do a company-wide outing and so forth. But again, everybody has something that drives them. Like for me, I'm all about the sugar-free rock star, right? Love it. Drink 1 can a day. That's my thing. So one of my teammates actually put a can on my desk the other day with a little note. Thanks for all you do. Okay, she's got me at hello, right? So little things like that really matter.
I love it. I was having a conversation with a colleague over the last week, and we were talking about recognition. And it's funny how candy came up because in that conversation, the person he was trying to recognize is a big candy lover. It's like, oh, great. Now you just got to find out what kind of candy he loves and then tailor your gift and your recognition to that. So that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Hey, Kim, as we wrap up another great show, what I want to make sure is we don't leave any stone unturned. Is there any other things that come to mind as we close this show on things that we can, as leaders, business owners, help our teams and level them up?
Yes. The one thing that I just wanted to touch on briefly, and I'm sure that many of the viewers have heard of it, but the Great Resignation, right? Somebody coined this phrase, the Great Resignation. And I recently listened to a podcast that brought some really interesting insight to it, really indicating don't let it frighten you. Because if you focus your efforts on the downside of this, it's going to impact you in a negative way, right? Let it go. There are ebbs and flows of talent trends throughout my career, throughout every one of our careers, and focus on the positive. Streamline your efforts towards rewards and recognition and thanking people and aspiring and making sure that you can help them envision a career path. And there won't be anything in your organization called the Great Resignation. So again, just focus on the positive and really try to get that line of sight out to all those that work with you.
Well, and as we bring it home, the one comment I'll make, Kim, is I've been told there's two things you can control, and you touched on them both in your closing comments, your attitude and your effort. And I think to your point, yes, the Great Resignation is real and it's here. But if we keep a positive attitude and we keep effort, you know what? Good things will come. So, you know, we're at the point now where we're at the end of the show, Kim. I mean, I told you it goes fast. I'd like to say on behalf of George and our award recognized producer Ethan, thank you very much for spending your Saturday morning with me and George. It's been a pleasure, and thanks for getting up early on a Saturday morning. I know you were up at the wee hours this morning, so thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you both. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Kim.
Thanks.
So again, you know, it goes by fast. We want to thank Kim. For anybody who is needing all the services, the global human resource research, you can reach out to Kim both on LinkedIn or in an email, or you can contact one of us and we can get you connected as well.
So George, your book's going to be out here pretty soon, right?
Yeah, trying to work on it. You know, it's all out to everybody who's given input, and we're just making sure that what they said when we discussed that particular topic all meets the criteria that they intended. So yeah, I'm really excited about it.
Cool. Well, for everyone out there, our next episode is on August 6th. Make sure you make a note of it in your calendar. Value of cake and cards. I know it's going to be a good one. And quite frankly, how that recognition can drive culture, profitability, and grow businesses.
Who doesn't love cake?
Who doesn't? And cookies, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Until our next show, we want to wish you all a great weekend and week ahead. And remember to achieve forward
and get better.
Bye.